Hey, I'm Alice. No, that's not me. Move the camera a bit to the left. Even more to the left. No, go back! Yeah, that's me. Next to my sisters, I look like I'm still in elementary school, even though I'm already 17. We're a very religious family. My parents went to church regularly, and my mom worked as a teacher at the church school where we studied. For as long as I can remember, everything was always forbidden to us. Why don't we have phones or computers? There's too much bad stuff online. Actually, who am I kidding? We never even had a TV at home. But the neighbors would set up a movie theater in their backyard, and I never missed a chance to watch. I guess that's how I fell in love with acting. There were no books at home except textbooks and religious literature, but I'd secretly go to the city library and lose myself in classic novels. What I loved most was memorizing monologues and trying on different roles whenever my parents and my sisters weren't around. By the way, remember that I looked like a kid? Well, my sisters never missed a chance to tease me about it. Oh, you're here? I didn't even notice you. Sorry, I thought it was some bug crawling along. Honestly, I didn't give a damn what they thought. What I was more worried about was that someday my looks might keep me from becoming an actress. One day, a man from a drama club came to our church school. Anyone who wants to learn acting, come join us. This has to be a sign from above. Actors are liars. Acting is a terrible sin. None of our students will be taking part in that. That's not true. It's art. And I want to be an actress too. After I said that, it was like a bomb went off in the classroom. Mom told the drama club man to leave and immediately chewed me out. At home, Dad was furious too, going on about what an awful child I was. I never thought my daughter would act like that. Learn from your sisters. From now on, you're only allowed to leave the house to go to school. After that, I just wanted to pursue my dream more than ever. So, despite the rules, I decided to go to the drama club anyway. One day, I pretended to be sick and I skipped school. I waited until everyone left, and then I got ready to run away. See, I told you Alice was faking it. My daughter is a liar. I can't live with that. They punished me again, but I didn't give up. A few days later, I just slipped out through the window. I'm sorry, but we only accept students who are 15 and older. Actually, I'm 17. I think you're mistaken. She's not lying. I saw her with the older students. All right. Here's the text you'll need to memorize for the entrance audition. They gave me a few days to prepare, and I worked really hard. On the morning of the exam, I got ready to climb out the window again, but as luck would have it, my sisters were hanging out in the yard. So I waited until my parents went into the kitchen, and then quickly and quietly slipped out the front door and snuck out. Halfway there, I remembered I'd left my script behind, but it was too late to go back. Alice, you've got real talent. Of course we'll take you. Here's the recording of your monologue. A little keepsake for you. They were just about to add me to the list of accepted students when suddenly… This is outrageous! I found this in your room and I immediately figured out where you'd gone. Alice, you're coming home right now. Listen, your daughter needs to develop her talent. But, as always, my parents refused to listen and dragged me towards the exit. I'm gonna be an actress anyway. Once I'm 18, you won't get to decide everything for me. Don't even think about it. We've decided you're spending the summer with Aunt Rose. She'll knock that nonsense right out of you. The moment I heard Aunt Rose's name, childhood memories came flooding back. Here's Aunt Rose making me work on those horrible vegetable beds. There I am on a painfully stiff mattress, fighting off the insects that infested it. Dad's sister was a total nightmare. 1,000 times worse than my parents. Oh, Aunt Rose is practically a saint. She founded a charity and helps people in need, even though she lives so modestly herself. Are we even talking about the same person? But nobody cared what I thought. A week later, my parents handed me a little money, put me on a bus, and shipped me off to that awful aunt. She lived in some tiny backwater town, hidden away in the middle of the woods. This is gonna be the worst summer break ever. Suddenly, the bus jolted hard and came to a stop. Soon, the driver announced that there was an issue with the bus. There's no signal here. I can't call for help. While the other passengers complained, I started feeling a little more cheerful. Well, at least something exciting was going on. Suddenly, we heard a loud engine roar. A couple of seconds later, an amazing black motorcycle appeared in the distance. The bus driver immediately started honking, motioning for the biker to pull over. Is that that a girl? I was blown away by how cool she looked and how effortlessly she handled that bike. The driver explained the situation to her, and the stranger agreed to call for help. If someone's in a hurry, I can take one person into town. Wow. My parents would have freaked out about what I was about to do, but they weren't here, so I'll go. But you're way too small. No, I'm not small. I'm just short. Okay, fair enough. By the way, I'm Bree. It was absolutely incredible. I'd never felt so free in my life. At some point, it started raining, and Bree pulled into a diner next to a gas station. While she called the number that the driver had given her, I grabbed us a couple hot dogs. Where are you headed? I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I decided to lie to my aunt's. She works at a theater. I'm gonna take acting lessons with her all summer. You could totally play Eleven from the early seasons of Stranger Things. I think you look alike, except for the hair. Later, Bree told me that she was crazy about speed and that she fixed up old bikes. This one, I got it from a friend. But over the holidays, I'm gonna help some cool guys out at their garage. In exchange, they promised to give me a restored motorcycle. Awesome, right? Yeah, it was awesome. And once again, I caught myself thinking about how boring my life was. All of a sudden, two people from the next table came over to us. Sorry, we heard you talking. You're an actress, right? Are you gonna take part in the festival? That's when I found out that there was a Young Talents Festival happening soon, not far from the town. It was a perfect chance to make a name for myself, so I immediately decided to sign up. You can send in your application right from your phone. What do I do? I really don't want to admit that I don't have a phone. So I had to lie again and say that I'd lost it. In the end, they let me use a computer at the diner, and the two of them helped me fill out the application. I attached the video from the flash drive that they'd given me at the drama club, and I set up an email account. Now you just have to wait to hear back. Good luck. When the rain finally stopped, Bree gave me a ride to the thrift store. I spent the money my parents had given me, and I bought an old phone. Bree and I swapped numbers and promised we'd text. Aunt Rose lived on the outskirts, and I decided to walk there. I can just picture her face if I showed up on a bike. Her house looked exactly the way I remembered it. A murder house, straight out of horror films. And here comes the head witch. And why are you so late, young lady? The bus I was on broke down. That's punishment for your bad behavior. She demanded that I hand over the money my parents had sent. I lost it on the way. You're so hopeless. But don't worry, I'll still get around to setting you straight. Then Aunt Rose led me to the same room I'd lived in as a child. And remember, you're not allowed to go upstairs. That's my sacred space. Over the next few days, she kept making me work in the garden and clean the house. It looks like I'm about to get eaten by a dust monster. One time, Bree sent me a selfie from the garage where she was fixing up an old bike. Now that is someone who's really living the dream. I was about to reply when an email popped into my inbox. Oh my god! It's a response from the festival organizers! They accepted my application! I was so happy, I could have salsa danced with the dust monster! Bree said I look like Eleven from Stranger Things. Maybe I should play her at the festival? Thanks to my phone, I was able to look up details about the show. She really is an awesome character. Bree and I stayed in touch. She would tell me how the bike repair was going, and I'd update her on how rehearsals were coming along. It was the only thing keeping me sane in my aunt's house. One evening, a woman came by, the one that my aunt started a charity foundation with. Say hello to Mrs. Brown. She turned out to be just as haughty as Aunt Rose. What is your niece wearing? That dress is terribly vulgar. My daughter, Molly, would never allow herself to dress like that. By the way, did I mention she was given the solo in the church choir? Yes, Alice. You really ought to spend time with a well-mannered girl like Molly. I'd rather bite my own elbow. All evening, I had to keep refilling the snacks, serving tea, and putting up with the endless nitpicking. The only thing that got me through it was thinking about the festival. The next day, my aunt sent me out to buy groceries. You need to build some character, so you'll go on foot. It's more like I'll be building up my leg muscles. But the moment I stepped outside, it started to rain. I ran back into the house for an umbrella, and that's when I heard my aunt talking to someone upstairs. That's odd. It's just the two of us here. The landline was downstairs, and my aunt despised smartphones just as much as my parents did. Curious, I quietly went up the stairs. What I saw up there completely shocked me. Upstairs was recently renovated, expensive furniture everywhere, and there was even a huge flat-screen TV. She's got a new phone! We'll handle it the way we did last time. We'll pull in a hefty sum at that charity event. Yes, let's discuss the details in person. As soon as she hung up, I slipped away. Something about their foundation is definitely not right. That evening, Mrs. Brown came by again. This time, Auntie sent me to my room, but I hid behind the door and I eavesdropped on their conversation. My suspicions were confirmed. They acted all righteous, but really, they were just swindling people. I wanted to step out and tell them exactly what I thought of them, but I didn't. Instead, I recorded their conversation on video. The charity gala was scheduled for the day after the festival. I decided to go to expose my aunt and Mrs. Brown. I spent the entire next week rehearsing my act. Bree texted me she'd almost finished the bike and promised that she'd take me for a ride. Stop loafing around, you lazy girl. The tomatoes won't fertilize themselves. You can't imagine how hard it was to bite my tongue. She was such a hypocrite! Finally, the festival day arrived. That morning, I was in a great mood, right up until Aunt Rose ruined it. We've decided to move the charity gala. It's happening today at 6. 6 o'clock? There was no way I could make it to both the gala and the festival! It was the hardest choice of my life. Acting was my dream, but people would be giving away money that would never even make it to those who needed it. I hesitated. Then, another message from Bree popped up. She fixed the bike! I immediately texted her, asking if she could give me a ride to the festival. It was the only way I could expose the charity and still make it to my performance. Bree usually replied right away, but this time, my message remained unread for a long while. Only an hour later, Bree texted back saying she couldn't make it today. I was disappointed, but I made my decision anyway. I'll go to the charity gala first, and then I'll try to get to the festival grounds on my own. You must be on your best behavior. Molly will be there. She's the very embodiment of perfect manners. So don't you dare embarrass me. At the gala, I wanted to wait until everyone had arrived. So I had to hang back. Mrs. Brown and her daughter were the last to show up, and I honestly couldn't believe my eyes. This is Molly, the one I told you about. I barely managed to wait for the right moment when we could talk. What does this mean? What are you doing here? It turned out her real name really was Molly. She genuinely loved technology, but she'd been living a double life so she wouldn't disappoint her strict mother. When I told her about Aunt Rose's and Mrs. Brown's schemes, Bree, or rather Molly, was horrified. I had no idea. You have to help me tell people the truth. But she's my mom. I don't know. I can't. So you're not as brave and independent as you want people to think you are. I turned to leave when suddenly Molly grabbed my hand. Fine, I'll help you. She suddenly screamed and began to slump to the floor. What's wrong with you? My head is spinning. While everyone was distracted, I slipped over to the computer and I played my recording. When the video of Aunt Rose's conversation with Mrs. Brown appeared on screen, everyone was stunned. They're frauds. I'm calling the police. How dare you? I'll destroy you. Leave her alone. Molly? All my life, I was scared I'd disappoint you, Mom. But instead, you disappointed me. Come on, you've got to make it to the festival in time. The garage where she worked was close by. We hopped on her bike and rode to the venue. My performance went really well, and I won a prize. You're a real gem. We would like to offer you a spot at our specialized art school for the upcoming academic year. After that, getting into an acting school will be easy. Congratulations, Alice! You earned it. Soon, because of the scandal involving my aunt, my parents came to pick me up. They couldn't believe she'd been profiting off of other people. I hoped that this whole mess would make them rethink some of their views. So I chose to be completely honest with them. I told them about the festival and the offer to study at the special school. But the miracle I was hoping for didn't happen. Forget it. You're staying home. And one day, you'll be a teacher at a church school just like me. That could have been the end of my story. But actually, it's not that bleak. My friend and I stayed in touch, and we didn't give up on our goals. Bree recently turned 18. She left home and rented a place with the money she'd earned at the workshop. The festival proved I really did have talent. So I decided to wait until I was 18 too, and then I'd apply to the acting school. Like this video and subscribe to the private diary channel. That would be the best way to wish me luck. I hope your dreams come true too.